First News with Keeler in the morning on WIBX and WIBX950.com.
WIBX.
This is Keeler.
WIBX 950 92.3 FM.
Now back to the Keeler Show.
I've been working on a Christmas song with this music, like the Beatles. I'm coming home because I've got no place else to go. That's what it is.
They don't want me there.
I'm coming home for Christmas because I've got nowhere else to go, is what the song is. I so far don't like it, so I'm not going to play
Well,
it.
Dr.Chmielewski can help.
He might be able to.
He's the real musician
also
here.
Is a musician, and I'm sorry we're having a camera issue. I just had a camera go down.
And Dr. Zylinski's a musician.
Dr. Zylinski.
Sorry, I did not know that.
And Dr. Chmielewski both in here.
I stand corrected.
Good morning. What do you, so you play, Dr. Chmielewski, you play the guitar.
I play piano, ukulele, guitar, and trying a little bit of harmonica.
Okay.
Wow.
And he also sings.
And you sing.
I've heard the voice.
You did the Boilermaker song a long time ago.
Yep, push through that final mile, which you can get on, Spotify?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and a few other places.
And then Dr. Zylinski, what do you play?
I sing and play guitar as well.
Nice. We should start a band. Yeah.
Not quite as many instruments as Dr. Chmielewski, though.
Yeah. Well, you know, I try a lot of instruments. I try everything. And then if you can just make a little moment of noise,
Sounds somewhat good.
you walk away and I can play it. I can listen to what I just did.
There is a difference between music and noise, however.
There is. It's a very broad spectrum there.
Yeah.
Just don't put me on the piano. Then you'll hear a lot of noise, not music.
Okay.
I'm thinking maybe the Osteopaths could be the name of the band.
Yeah.
Osteopaths.
I want to be an osteopathic physician.
Yeah, we'll work on it.
Turkey
We'll work
farm went under.
I like it. Okay, let's talk about. This is me.
Yeah.
I have not gotten my COVID or flu yet.
Okay.
Here I am, dealing with a cancer issue. Stupid of me. So I got to get out and get that. Maybe I'll do it today. And then, you have no excuse. You can go to your clinic, Flacon Clinic. By the way, Dr. Zylinski, Dr. Chmielewski from the Flacon Clinic in Washington Mills. You can just walk into your pharmacy and get your vaccines.
Yep.
So, and then the biggie is the shingles.
Yeah.
So I got to do these three. Do you agree there are three that we should do?
Well, big controversy on there. I mean, as far as the shingles, I would say go ahead and get that.
Right.
As far as, the flu vaccine, I'm in favor of that. Another one I just gave prescription for yesterday, Tdap, tetanus, diphtheria, and pertussis.
Should have. You should do that every 7 years or
10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if you've got about 4 hours, we could go through the COVID vaccine.
It is, although I did speak with a pharmacist who said COVID seems to be, this COVID vaccine seems to be fairly accurate, and we do seem, would you agree with that, or?
I would have to say the platform is still messenger RNA, and there's been a big controversy in terms of its involvement with our genetics on there. Novodisk has one using the traditional form, so I did get that one.
Okay.
But many people have gotten
there's more COVID shots other than just one.
Oh, yeah. Well, the two big ones in the beginning.
I remember in the beginning it was
Pfizer and Moderna,
This one will give you these
Johnson
potential
Johnson.
side effects. This one, maybe different side effects.
I got the blood clot one shot, Johnson & Johnson.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Well, having said that, I mean, for the most part, a lot of these things, whenever you talk about vaccines and stuff, you talk about risk and benefit. Okay, anything. You talk about an aspirin, risk benefit on there. So there's short-term side effects like the clots you mentioned, like people having heart problems. I'm not sure about the possible increase in some cancers, but definitely strokes, the blood clots and so forth. And but it's in a minority, so you
very
have to
rare.
ask.
I mean, doesn't every vaccine have a risk?
Anything
Anything
has a risk. That's why in medicine it's a risk-benefit ratio. There.
Right.
But if you have things that have like overwhelming benefit, one thing that Dr. Zylinski and I were talking about on the way in here was smallpox. Some of the early vaccinations were George Washington's troops there, okay? He wanted to have his troops vaccinated. Well, the Continental Congress wanted to get rid of him. They said, you're going to kill all our soldiers. it was because of that many of these soldiers did end up getting smallpox. But with the vaccination, he had more troops he was able to get to the field, whereas the British, a lot of them were quite sick. That's not the only reason for winning. But anyway, that was one of our early successes. And as you go through the 19th century, 20th century, you can't find smallpox anymore. Anywhere. We eradicated that. Why? Because of the vaccine. So risk-benefit there.
And that is was a horrible disease.
There was no treatment for it. Supportive treatment watches people died. It was very high mortality.
Measles, because there's been controversy. And the controversy, I don't want to get into the political side of this, but RFK Jr. at one point saying that it caused autism. And if you read about it, what you read is saying there is no evidence that that's true. What is you probably read a lot better documents than I do.
Well, one of the things that Dr. Chmielewski and I were talking about, and we, don't really want to get into the political side of it either. So the Flacon Clinic, as he and I have said before, is a private organization with no formal affiliation with any political party, religious organization, etc. But some people have said that some claims that RFK Jr. Has made are baseless, but. One thing that we might want to re-examine just from 50,000 feet away is, how is research conducted in the United States? By what standard is the baseless assertion made? And the example that I would give of that is, we have a lot of organizations in the United States that conduct medical research on drugs, on vaccines, on other things. And, generally speaking, government organizations like the NIH, for example, are pro-vaccine, and a lot of the research that they produce winds up showing that vaccines are safe and effective. Well, is there a bias there? You could argue one way or the other, of course. A lot of pharmaceutical companies, I want to pose a question to...
Well, they make the vaccines.
So I want to pose a question to everyone at this table here. Can someone please give me an example, if you can think of one, of the last time a pharmaceutical company, whether the product was a drug, vaccine, or whatever, when was the last time a pharmaceutical company generated a study that showed that its competitor's product was superior to theirs?
Right.
Can anyone recall?
Yeah.
I cannot.
I believe it happens in radio all the time. That Light 98.7 is really a lot better than us.
Yeah, they are.
But I think
they have a new morning show.
They do.
So the takeaway that I want everyone to grab from what I just said here is, do we maybe need to reevaluate the way that we do medical research in the United States?
But at the same time, not to argue with experts by any means, but at the same time, when you look at polio, when you look at smallpox, when you look at the measles, and you look at all of these vaccines, where would we be in the world without them today?
Well, I think that's the concerning, and maybe I don't want to use the word exciting, time is that we, with the anti-vaxxers of all kinds, we may be going back to the late 19th, early 20th century, because people nowadays, aside from having, public health measures and sanitation, and we have, supposedly clean water and better air and everything like that, people don't know what it was like, to have your children die of diphtheria. They couldn't breathe. They choked to death, all right? And all these other diseases as well. The measles, brain damage and everything, pertussis with seizures and death, and on and on and on. I don't want to say we're spoiled. I mean, we're gifted. Thank God that we have these miracles. Sure. Now, when you have people, like, RFK Jr. Having his point of view on stuff, you have to remember that when people criticize something, all of a sudden we have to rethink things. And I think that's the positive part of it, if you will. In our country, as so many, you need to have competition. You need to have a mix of ideas. Somebody says something crazy, let's say. Yeah. I'm not saying that RFK Jr. did that, but somebody's done something crazy, and you say, well, you're challenging me. I think that's a good thing.
So what do you recommend in terms of the vaccines? What should people get?
Me personally, the COVID, there are only about 300 deaths a year in the United States now. So for people,
what a change, huh?
Tell me. So people, who have, problems or they're taking drugs that suppress the immune system, like for rheumatoid arthritis and all this other stuff, or people 65 and over, and especially people with heart problems, diabetes, et cetera, they should seriously consider some form of COVID vaccine. I'm all in favor for like the shingles you mentioned, vaccine, also RSV, which really takes quite a toll, those, and now we've had pneumonia vaccines, which have helped. And now there's actually a newer one on the market, which covers like 80 to 90% of all the bacteria that we succumb to and die from. So I'd say those things especially.
So if your health is compromised in any way or you're older, COVID, some form of COVID, flu, you say yes to.
Yes.
Do you think everybody should get the flu shot? That's another one.
It used to be if you were allergic to eggs, but they don't make that anymore way, I would think it's quite safe. The whole business of Guillain-Barré syndrome, which is an ascending paralysis, is really overblown. Really, if you look at the studies, it seems like people who had flu had a greater incidence of this ascending paralysis than did those people who had the injection with the vaccine. Yeah. So, again, it's a risk-benefit. So I would say, in terms of the flu, I would say it would be a good idea for most people to get it.
Okay.
I mean, depending on the year, you might have anywhere from 20,000 to 60,000 people dying in the United States. Mm-hmm. That's a fair number of people.
Yeah, it is.
From the flu.
Yeah, and that's just the death. That doesn't count, people who lost time from their work and so forth,
Yeah.
And then there are these all other combinations. I had the flu earlier in the year, and it was not fun. But I don't know. I had it for like 3 days hard, and then it seemed to dissipate very, very quickly. Then lucky. I had a cold that went on for like a month and a half afterwards. Yeah. So this is all odd.
No, before medical school, I had influenza. I had that for 2 weeks, and I was dragged out, and I thought I was something wrong with me. For 2 months, I had no energy and aches and everything. It was almost like the post-COVID syndrome, In fact, it was similar to that.
Okay, Dr. Zylinski, the recommendation is there you go with your vaccine recommendation. And then, of course, there's, in a nutshell, about 3 minutes, the osteopathic approach can also assist beyond vaccines, right?
Absolutely. So as you're well aware, we have a VIP viral infection protocol that we do for long COVID. Also, people... We generally don't allow sick people into the office if they're febrile and coughing or puking or whatever the deal is. But sometimes we somebody who's there for, back pain, but they're like, hey, I did get over the flu or I had a cold about a week ago. And we'll do some work on their sinuses, on their ribs, pump on their liver and spleen, which are very important immune organs to get things working better there and get them, back to their normal activities faster than if they were just left to their own time and devices.
Yeah. And then I would leave you with this, and you can probably talk about this as well, Dr. Chmielewski. Right now we're very paranoid about medicine. Yet I'm taking a medicine that prior to 2000, people died from the disease that I have. Right. Without that medicine, I'm not here. It's crazy what miracles are coming out of medicine. Yeah. At the same time, maybe insurance companies, the big pharmaceuticals, I don't know, but there seems to be a lot of the focus on money. And if you're a doctor, on a lot of paperwork.
Yeah. You mentioned miracles there. I'll tell you, from the osteopathic perspective, the reason that we're here today and able to talk is because of the miracle of our immune system and the ability to, compensate or heal. And that's where the osteopathic approach is. Not that we don't have vaccines, we do. Not that we don't have medicines and surgeries, we do. And osteopathic physicians, we embrace that and are involved in that and do those kinds of things. But the miracle is, like I said, the physiology of our systems that it makes us to be alive. And when you have that, and then you combine it with something like a surgery, that's going to put you in a better physiologic condition, or if you have something like medications for cancer, they alone do not cure you.
Right.
But with your immune system putting you in a better position. So that's why, sure, we're into the medicines, anti-cancer stuff. Absolutely.
But stay healthy.
Stay healthy. But if we can do things like Dr. Zylinski said, to stimulate your own immune system and all these other things that we can do to make us physiologically more efficient and effective. That combination is incredible.
The Falcon Clinic in Washington Mill is accepting new patients.
Yes.
Correct.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you.
All right.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy
Docs,
Thanksgiving.
good to talk to you.
Stay young and healthy.
We'll,
as well.
Yeah, I think I'm failing in that
Merry
regard,
Christmas.
but we're going to try. We're going to try. And Merry Christmas and all that stuff. Quick break.